What's going on, ladies and gents? A random mid-Sunday stream. Doing a little housekeeping here with my main man, Cody. We just wrapped up Into Somewhere Rivals. That'll be out later tonight. Talking about Kane and The Undertaker in the latest episode of Into Somewhere Rivals. Hopefully you're all doing well. It is June 22nd. It is a hot Sunday, 98 degrees here without the humidity. Going to be 100 on Tuesday, so pray for Jake. I'm melting. But as you heard, I'm not alone. I've got the one, the only Cody with me, Mr. Oneidi 316. How you doing, my friend?
Doing great. Can't wait to get into this news. Well, some of it's unfortunate and could be
A
bad
lot
if
of
it
it
ends up
is
going.
not great. Yeah, I agree. It's not the best of news. It's a
Pray
bit
for Jake, though.
worrisome.
Wait, you said pray for Jake. I'm right near you. I'm gonna melt too.
I know
My
you and
chopped
I have
liver or
been.
something. I
Well,
could die.
you're a bit skinnier, right? You know, you don't got as much excess hanging on you, but it's hot, and it's only going to get hotter. And human in 100, you know it, baby. Feeling like 110 out there. Night of Champions might be canceled. We don't know yet. It's a bit of a worry. We're not sure what to make of it because. I mean, this unprecedented war in the Middle East is happening currently, and it's a trying and dangerous time, and we're unsure. Yeah, I mean, we're waiting to hear like a fat NATO summit. Indeed, Coop. We're all melting, but this type of melting is involving nuclear heat. So the latest we know on the plans for Night of Champions amid the Middle East turmoil is not much. So, a WWE update report on the travel plans amid the turmoil states that besides speculation from fans about the show taking place directly in between both Iran and Israel, I mean, Saudi's directly in the middle between, and we might see Trump announce that there's a travel ban and no one will be able to go. So, as of right
If there's a
now,
travel ban, then WWE has no choice in the matter. They have to
yeah,
find a new plan.
just like, no fans being available for WrestleMania 36 with COVID. I mean, we might see them have to go to the Performance Center or set up something last moment here. But Fightful Select reports that there's no official response from WWE reps. A higher up on the background said the situation is being closely monitored, of course. They said talent are set to leave midweek on a charter plane to Riyadh for SmackDown on Friday night and Night of Champions on Saturday. The SmackDown taping means a larger plan than there would have been for just the pay-per-view. So the report.
And here's the big issue though. Like Iran is now saying that any American citizen in the region is now a target and threat. So
yeah, Iran is saying that anyone at all, and they're also targeting travel like this, where it would be, all of the WWE talent essentially in one or two planes, two chartered jets. It's not a great time to be in full build mode when you have full bomb mode being announced. The show is in currently full build mode, as I said. They're assembling the stage. They're putting together everything for SmackDown and Night of Champions, but WWE said this directly. They said Saudi is one of the safest places in the world. And another source believed WWE was made many assurances of their safety with the current issues. So the news is we don't really have news at this point in time. What we know as of right now is that Trump bombed Iran as of yesterday. So the MAGA movement is divided over Trump's move to bomb Iran, and things are messier than ever. So a lot of prominent figures are not happy. Some have rallied around Trump. Others have criticized the decision. They want to see more of an explanation than his brief Saturday night speech. They're worried of an all-out conflict.
he's just saying that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon and stuff like that. And
he's saying that America's vision is that Iran gave us no choice. For a decade, we've been adamant that Iran will never get a nuclear weapon. Iran decided to forego diplomacy in a pursuit of a bomb. This is a surgical strike operated perfectly. President Trump acted with prudence and decisiveness. I mean, It's scary as a U.S. citizen. It's scary as a human on this planet, knowing that people want to bomb each other with the force of 1,000 suns. Every regime has been extremely popular with war at the start. The historical trajectory is not good. So there'll always be another Iranian mountain to bomb. There always will be another target to go after. I feel like this is not necessarily our fight. I mean, I understand the people of Israel uh, wouldn't need our help had Netanyahu not dropped bombs on
Well,
the people
now
of
it's our
Iran
fight because
first.
we got involved. So
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't our fight. Then we got involved, even though Israel is not a nuclear. They are a nuclear armed nation. So, um, some people are
and you could
saying
argue
peace is
Israel's
the
not the best
answer.
country themselves to go defend. They're not the greatest of countries either. But
People are calling them the 51st state at this point. I mean, there is no easy answer here, and unfortunately, with how difficult and tumultuous this all is, the real part of the issue is that how many lives hang in the balance. And even the slight risk of safety for the WWE talent, the production crew, the staff, any of them is insanity for them to have to go and do this show right now when it isn't a requirement, it isn't a necessity, it isn't, they can reschedule it and do a different show in Saudi at any point in time. It's not like this has to be there then, like it's a political movement for them to be there and support these people. And you're putting your talents' lives at risk. Even if you give them security detail, and you don't know what could happen. You don't know what Iran is capable of. You don't know what Iran is possibly
yeah, because
planning, what they can do.
Saudi Arabia, yes, is maybe safe to them, but you have to fly over. Which one is it? We were discussing it earlier a little bit.
Well, you're
Do they have
going
to
over
fly over
Israel,
Israel
and then
or?
you're going over Israel, and then Saudi's in between the two, but Iran is like northeast, a little bit to the right above,
And
and
Iran is like kind of trying to control Israel's skies right now. So
yeah, I mean, Iran just released a furious threat to the United States as of an hour ago.
anyone in that
Um,
region, and Israel and Saudi Arabia are both in that region. You have to fly over Israel to get to Saudi, and Saudi's still in that region. So they said anyone in that region is a target.
yeah, exactly. And shout out to Liz and everybody in the chat. And it's just very upsetting. So you see this now. Iran's foreign minister is basically calling everything that happened dangerous and everlasting. And their response on the Iranian side is them saying that the warmongering and lawless Trump administration in Washington is solely and fully responsible for the dangerous consequences and far reaching implications of its act of aggression. The U.S. military aggression against the territorial integrity and national sovereignty of a UN member state, carried out in collusion with the genocidal Israeli regime, once again laid the bare depth of depravity that governs American foreign policy and revealed the extent of hostility harbored by the U.S. ruling establishment against the peace seeking and independence loving people of Iran. So that's a load of bullshit. Peace seeking and independence loving. I mean, just this whole thing, even if we don't take a stance on the show, even if we don't have a side, I just worry about people in general. Like, no matter how you feel about Iran, Iraq, should we, shouldn't we? Now we are involved. And what this
Exactly. Like
means,
if you agree with what Trump did, that's fine. If you didn't agree with what he did, that's fine. But this is just the safety of the wrestlers flying over there,
not even just the
regardless
wrestlers
of.
anymore, the safety of our troops, the safety of our people, our lives now become more at risk because you have people threatening to retaliate. You have people
Yeah,
here that
because
are followers of that want to
major
retaliate against their own
U.S. cities
citizens.
are on watch because I read something earlier. Stanford, like where we are, New York
Yep.
City, uh, Chicago, Los Angeles, they're all on high alert because
I
they are afraid that attacks will happen now.
Yeah, I guess Tehran and Fordo were bombed either late last night or this morning as well, they're saying. So
Yeah,
the
I heard
events
about
this
that
morning
too.
are outrageous and will have everlasting consequences. Every member of the UN must be alarmed over this extremely dangerous, lawless, and criminal behavior. So
Because
they're
this is good,
saying that,
because Iran is saying that they're going to retaliate, and Trump's saying, "Well, if you do, you're
yeah,
gonna." pay for it big time.
I mean, Trump picked a side. We knew where he was leaning anyways, but he chose for us. And I feel like, yeah, never mind being too hot out to go out to do anything and go into the movies. It's a great decision, Liz, for the AC, but you're not able to do anything now. And these poor people are over there, my God, here we have the fear of retaliation and we're more secure. Over there, I mean, their day-to-day life is trying to survive. And it's just a horrid way that shouldn't be. And it feels so
We're in
silly.
2025, and it's crazy that we still have to worry about bombing each other.
Exactly. And it feels so
disgusting.
trivial and so silly to be like, oh, our wrestling, and we're worried about our wrestling. But that is what we're focused on over here on the channel, and we try and keep it light. I mean, people were initially arguing over WWE and AEW getting along over American Gladiators, with The Miz being the host, and you have Camille and
I
Wardlow
gotta
being
get something
contestants.
to say about that. I
Yeah.
don't think it's WWE that's upset. I think it's AEW that's upset about it because they want to even promote wrestlers in movies that they were in because they were mad at them. So
Yeah.
it's an AEW issue, and they're mad that if they were to promote American Gladiators, that they would have to promote The Miz because he's the host of the show.
So the only person
So
that
it's
says that
AEW upset.
WWE has a problem is Dave Meltzer. Dave
Of
Meltzer
course,
came out and
because
said that the
Dave
WWE had a
Meltzer is the
problem with The
biggest
Miz.
AEW cocksucker.
He said that The Miz WWE has a problem with The Miz working with AEW contracted performers, even if Camille and Wardlow have not been used in ages. So Meltzer noted that the biggest question surrounding the show now is if The Miz is the only will only interact with Camille and Wardlow on the show, but if they'll promote WWE with the AEW stars on the show. I guess the plan is only to call Miz a WWE star, megastar, superstar, whatever, but they're not going to have him, be focused with the wrestling at all. He's just Mike the Miz Mizanin. He's the host. Easy as that. He's a former wrestler. Just like having The Rock in the film doesn't mean he's touting WWE. MJF is in the Happy Gilmore 2 sequel, and WWE made it so any commercial for that on Netflix cannot feature any AEW talent like MJF.
Well, I don't blame them, because isn't Becky Lynch in it?
Yes.
So yeah, they would want to promote their own talent. Why would they want to go promote
and the Bellas
AEW's talent?
So
and the Bellas. So
and the Bellas.
Yeah. So WWE's obviously going to promote their own talent before AEW's. So I think it's an AEW issue with all of this.
I mean, people being like, that's ridiculous. It's like you wouldn't advertise the Mets at Yankee Stadium, vice versa. You might advertise a game coming up, but you wouldn't advertise and sell Mets stuff. And it's the same idea. You're not going to have a WWE person that's going
Yankees
ahead
aren't
and
going to go out of their way to advertise the Mets, saying, "Hey, go to Mets games, go buy Mets tickets."
Exactly. So WWE is not going to sit there and promote MJF I don't feel like that's petty or ridiculous. If they removed him from everything, no, they just took him out of the trailer. That's fine. If they cut him out of the entire show and something like that would be different. But just because they're not advertising him, but they're still advertising a movie that he's in. So AEW still benefits
because
in the end.
Is AEW going to promote Happy Gilmore and feature Becky Lynch?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll have to see. I mean, we'll see. I doubt it.
Because it's the same shit. Because then why aren't people gonna cry then?
Like you said, they don't even promote their own talent. Never mind, they had the Queen of the Ring thing going on over there, and Camille was never advertised at all.
Wasn't Naomi part of that? Or no, am I wrong? Mistaken?
I think you're mistaken, but I don't recall. Maybe I don't think so. I don't think she was.
I know there might have been a WWE talent in another movie, another AEW talent was in, but they didn't show WWE talent. So the AEW has been known for this. They do it too, but it's when WWE does it, people have a problem. Again, I think it's an AEW issue why they're mad about American Gladiators, because they don't want a WWE star hosting the show, so it's AEW that's upset.
Speaking of upset, we heard Rikishi going off, and again, this is just a quick news story today. You and I wanted to touch on the obvious Saudi, handling and what's going on there. But I saw Undertaker talking with SHAK Wrestling, and they're talking about promoting the second season of LFG. And personally, I on the side note of the news, have a bit of an issue with Michelle McCool being just thrusted and forced into everything. The 6 Feet Under podcast that Undertaker had, he had his friend on there. He's been replaced by Michelle McCool. Now you're having Michelle McCool, replace judges on season 2 of LFG. Just anything the Undertaker's involved in. She got her Hall of Fame induction this year when there's many people that deserve it way more than she does, certainly. Not that she shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, but maybe some other people like Mickey should have gone in. We'll go over the SummerSlam kickoff show briefly. I didn't catch much of it. I saw some of the highlights, but it was weird to do the kickoff show now. Granted, they went ahead and they had the Undertaker on. He was talking about main event Jey Uso and basically made the comment of, "Oh, I thought my entrances were long." People go on saying the Undertaker had one of the longest entrances. And we know that to be a fact, but the dead man goes on and says that Jay's yeet-friendly ring walks, he's like, he's getting the reactions, but with how long those entrances are, he's like, I used to get accused of having a long entrance. My goodness, I'm a spirit to the ring now. The audience is so engaged. He'll make his entrance, come out of a break, and he'll still be eating, going for round 2. He's like, I don't think...
See, the difference between the Undertaker and Jey Uso is with the entrances is Jey Uso's can get repetitive and annoying. Undertaker's, the presence, the aura of him was actually entertaining, so the entrance length didn't matter as much.
Well, with Jay, it's one thing over and over. Jay, it's one thing. It's strictly yeeting. It's you're doing the yeet over and over with the
It's
fun
Undertaker. To do at the shows. I've been there live. It's fun to go.
It's good with the live down, crowd. Yeah, you're engaged. Wrestling crowds today, like I said, with Sami Zayn getting killed, but another spear, another tsunami. Not that they don't love Sami, but the audiences want to interact. They want to scream,
this is
yell,
another
and,
point I want to
and
bring
get
up
involved.
Before we have to. I know it's a quick live. I want to bring up this point real quick. Do you think the internet wrestling community and the live crowds are two different worlds? Because sometimes Jey Uso only gets his criticism online, but he's always cheered out of the arena at the building. Goldberg criticized online, but they always cheer him when he's there.
So here's the thing: the internet wrestling community is a very, very, very vocal, loud minority. They're very small. It's a very small subsect. They're the loudest. They're the most involved. They're the most dedicated. But they're the tiniest. And that's why you see fans cheering there. But online, the discourse is completely different. Those are the ones that Triple H can't stand. They make it sound like he doesn't like the fans, but it's us, the ones that are criticizing and not just being fans. That's who he considers to be the problem.
We have reasonable criticisms, but Triple
I don't
H
think it's to the detriment. I think it builds up the fandom. But yeah, they do get offended and they don't like people backseat booking. But I think that's half the allure and fun of wrestling.
Well, we have to call it out sometimes because sometimes they don't make sense with what they're doing because, we're not stupid. We remember what you did 2 weeks ago, and now you're going to say, oh, that never happened. This all happened.
Yeah, thankfully they've been better about continuity. The Undertaker's working with creative, and maybe he'll be getting a permanent role there. But he's like, yeah, it wasn't that he lost to Gunther. It's how he lost. The reign can be short. You don't need to have mile-long reigns like we did for Roman and others. That should be the outlier, not the common. He's like, if you worry too much about him not being the champion, it hinders you more creatively. He should be presented as the champion without the belt. I agree. Speaking of a champion being never able to quite get things done, Noam Dar, he's unable to compete tomorrow. The Heritage Cup is being relinquished at this point in time, so it's going to be vacated. Stax instead is going to compete in a match to crown a new Heritage Cup champion on NXT, so that's interesting. Sucks that Noam Dar is hurt again. He basically came back, got the cup, broke apart the metaphor, and now he's gone. Brie Bella is still saying, hey, I could be coming, I could not be, but I guess plans now are really more up in the air, so we might just have a Nikki Bella singles match at Evolution instead of the planned tag team match. I guess they might have Brie and Nikki come together later down the line, maybe even at SummerSlam. But for right now, she said, I would love to return, but I'm waiting on that call. Nikki got the call. I didn't. I didn't change my number. So if you guys want to know, it's still good. So she's still waiting for that opportunity. Speaking again, as we're going tit for tat, rapid fire with the news, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Which I think means that Brie Bella already did get in contact with them.
She's in contact, yeah. Well, partially she's playing up, and I think also it's because of the plans change with Liv being injured. Now they're not getting the women's tag titles. We keep hearing that, with Liv, she's just going to be keeping the tag titles, and they're not going to have them relinquish them. It says Liv's been pulled from everything going forward, obviously not just the wrestling, but all promotions and plannings. As of Friday
So
morning,
it's like
they're not having her
you might not
vacate the
see the tag
title.
team titles until Rumble.
We might not see the tag team titles for some time, and I feel like they think that's one of the belts that doesn't need to be relinquished within 30 days time. And
Because
I,
I
they
don't
don't
think WWE cares
he,
about the titles enough to.
but here's the thing, it's not like they have a tag team women's division set and waiting to go get those belts. Who else is going to go for them if not the Bellas? We don't really have
Nobody.
women's
Here's
tag
what I would.
teams established and set.
I
They
think
do
just get rid of
random
the titles
pairings.
now.
They
Personally, I would just.
either they need to have a full-on division made where they have actual women together as a tag team, but I don't see them really dedicating time or effort to that in any of the near future. So that's why I see them just having her and Raquel hold on to those belts until she can return and do something. Unless they come across a better storyline before then and it makes sense for them to relinquish them, I'm not so sure that's what we're going to see. And Alan said, Jake, I wanted to side note. I believe Iran wouldn't want to attack the U.S. assets in Saudi. Saudis already have a side. Yeah, no, I'm not doubting that, but it's more about like safety of travel and the airplanes themselves. Maybe they won't strike anything in nation, but you never know. Extremists, suicide bombings, all these type of things. There is a very heightened worry of security
Quick
just
two
being
questions
where
for
you
you.
are. It doesn't even have to be people from other
Uh,
nations. So, yes, sir.
so quick two questions for you. Would you move the pay per view or to somewhere in the United States, or would you delay the pay per view for a
I
further
would,
day
I
until
would
the conflict calms down, or
I
what
would
would you
move the
do?
show to the United States or a different location.
Canada somewhere.
Yeah,
Even they
somewhere
can get it
else,
if they
wherever you
want,
could
but
figure it out before Saturday, and you make it up to Saudi with 2 more shows. Hey, we'll do
maybe give
this
it
and
to
this.
Mohegan Sun.
I keep hearing that, oh, they can always go back to the Performance Center and just fill the crowd from there with the NXT crew. Sure. I mean, that's
Give it to
always
Mohegan Sun. We were
uh,
supposed to get Evolution. Give us
r-
something.
right. They did that once before with Takeover. They moved the Takeover in Texas to here, and I went to that in Bridgeport. So that would be awesome to see them do that. But as we mentioned, it's a waste for the NXT, or excuse me, the women's tag titles. There's no division there, so there's no rush. They can move the Night of Champions show. They have a lot of options right now. They're not forced into these things. They can relinquish the women's tag titles. They don't have to keep them on Live. They can move away from Saudi. They don't have to risk
They,
anybody's safety and go there.
and the second question about the women's tag team titles: would you
Yes.
just have Roxanne take over Liv's role and be the women's tag champion? Would you just get rid of the tag team titles? What would you do?
If they're not going to have a dedicated division with people really going in there and having set teams, it seemed like for a point in time they were going to start doing call-ups from NXT and we're going to get some women's teams, but that hasn't happened. And instead, we've seen single stars. I mean, they broke up Roxanne and Julia almost immediately when I thought, like, oh, cool, they're bringing them up together. It seemed like, oh, we were going to get, Lash and Jakar, but then they let her go. I mean, with a lot of it. Goldberg lost. The only crowd that loves him, I know, that's it with being over in Saudi. That's the last reigning surrender. And then you said with Riddia's Saudi season in full effect, Saudi has dozens of countries participating. It's not a smart move. U.S. troops based in Iraq are the ones I'm worried for. Oh, absolutely. We're so worried for our troops. And that's the sad part. And now it seems like with these bombings, the U.S. is going to be deployed and heavily involved. And that's the worry that I have. They did add another match to the stadium show for All in Texas. So they added the Casino Gauntlet match. That was announced during the closing moments of Collision last night. And of course, this is going to be their big Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal that they do. They'll likely have a surprise entrant, as they always do, for the Joker. But their battle royals have been hit or miss, so we'll see what comes of it. But still cool to have that. They add more people to the card. The SummerSlam kickoff show that they had there for the press conference was with Michael Cole and Peter Rosenberg hosting. They basically said that they're moving SummerSlam to Vegas. That was a good joke, but Orton took the stage. The fans sang to him, and they just did basic interviews. You know, they had Cena come out, they had Punk come out. They talked to people. Nikki Bella was the guest on stage. Rhea Ripley, and basically they just talked to them and hyped up SummerSlam. We had Seth and Braun Breaker, Becky Lynch. Who else? I mentioned Punk
CM
before.
Punk,
And then
Randy Orton.
Triple H was the last one. So the fans had fun, but this was basically a forgettable event. Nothing newsworthy, nothing. I guess the first time you're seeing Punk since the pipe bomb promo, but
John Cena was just acting like a goof on there.
yeah, Cena was acting like an idiot. Punk didn't seem bothered by anything that Cena said on the pipe bomb, and that was pretty much it. It was just to do its job, to hype it up, but I feel like it's too soon and there was no need to do this yet. It really just didn't make sense as to why you're having the kickoff for the summer of SummerSlam now when you still have 4 shows to get through before then. We got Night of Champions, then we got Great American Bash, we've got Saturday night's main event, Evolution 2, and then the 2-night SummerSlam. And I think there's even one more show in between then or something. Like they got stuff picking up all over the place. So this upcoming Friday night on SmackDown, we're getting Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax in a last woman standing match for the WWE title. That's going to be great. Zelina Vega and Julia for the women's U.S. title. And then the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, taking on the Wyatt Six, Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis for the WWE Tag Team titles. We will be live to review SmackDown as well this week as the kickoff for Night of Champions in Saudi will be live this Saturday about 4 p.m. Eastern, since the Saudi show is starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then we will also be live tomorrow night for Raw. We'll give you guys some updates about what's going on for the rest of the week. But we just wanted to come in. Oh, we mentioned Stone Cold and possibly having one more match. Again, it's all just fan speculation and him briefly discussing things at this time. I think that the 60-year-old Austin doesn't need to step back in the ring. The WrestleMania 38 outing he had with Owens was perfect. That was so greatly wrestled and handled excellently. And I don't think there's anything they needed to add to that. I would just have him use that as his last match and keep it that way, you know? That's honestly where I would be
agree,
at, Cody.
yes.
I think that's pretty much the
Me
be-all, end-all for it. So, but there's a lot of people that right now need some focusing, you know. Julia's definitely one of them. So is Karrion and Cross. You know, there's a lot of what ifs with the community and what's going on, but we'll see what happens.
Before we wrap things up,
yes,
bigger news. Mets snapped their losing streak. Finally.
I know, with all those home runs in a row. What was it, 7 home runs?
Yes, the one to make up for each game they lost in a row. So they lost 7 games in a row. Then they got 7 home runs last night to win. So
absolutely nuts.
A home run for each.
And before we get out of here, last bit of housekeeping as well. I wanted to let you all know that I will be live again today, but not on my channel. Tonight, I will be joining the Around the Ballpark podcast. So I'll put that in the description box down below for you guys. But I will be over there. The
Can't wait for that.
Starts. I know. We're going to be talking Night of Champions and wrestling over there. They're usually the baseball guys, obviously, with the Around the Ballpark. But they want to go ahead and have me come over and talk about WWE. They're doing their subscription milestone hangout. So congrats to them for that. It starts at 7 p.m. Eastern, but my time to shine is at 8:10 Eastern. So I will be over there. So make sure you guys go ahead. Check out the podcast tonight. Give them some love, some thumbs up, some subscriptions, because not only does it show that, you know, when we bring it, but it'll be a good time as well. And then, of course, later on today, we will have up for you, as soon as it's done rendering, the very next episode of Into Somewhere Rivals, talking about the Brothers of Destruction, leading to next week's release of the next episode of Guilty or Guilt-Free. You gotta love it. So again, I'll be live tonight on the Around the Ballpark podcast. Going to go ahead and talk Night of Champions over there. Cody, I know you got to get the hell out of here, but let the people know where they can find you, my friend.
you can find me over on my Twitter or X, whatever you like to call it nowadays, at Judgment Day Era, and you can find me over on my Instagram at Cody_Onedy_316.
That's right. And you can find me besides tonight on the Around the Ballpark podcast at 7 p.m. That starts. If you go ahead and refresh, that'll be in the description box down below now. And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and on Rumble, all at Countdown Ended. And then you go ahead and subscribe here. Turn on the notifications because, again, we've got so much more content on the way. We'll be live after Raw tomorrow night, the go-home show for Night of Champions. Let's hope that it's not blowing up plans and things continue to form, and maybe we'll see the show get moved. I'm not so sure. But for Cody, I'm Jake. I hope you all have a great Sunday. Make sure you all stay sexy. And as always, we'll see you next time. Thank you guys. Have a great day.